Hey everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. I'm Ben and I'm excited to show you how to host a FastAPI application on DigitalOcean. We'll be creating a simple dice rolling API that's interactive and fun. Let's dive in. First things first, what's DigitalOcean? In simple terms, it's a cloud service provider that makes it really easy to deploy and manage applications. They offer scalable virtual machines called droplets, managed databases, object storage and more. So why use DigitalOcean? It's user-friendly, cost-effective and offers great performance with SSD storage. Plus you can easily scale your resources as you require, and the support and community are awesome too. FastAPI is a modern framework for building APIs with Python. It's super fast, easy to use and has auto-generated API docs. With FastAPI you get high performance, support for asynchronous operations and automatic data validation. It's built on the standard Python type hints, which makes your code cleaner and easier to maintain, perfect for both small and large scale applications. Combining DigitalOcean and FastAPI is a match made in heaven. You'll get a robust cloud infrastructure and a high performance web framework. Deploy and scale the applications fast, and it's a breeze using DigitalOcean's application tools. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create the FastAPI application in VS Code and push it to GitHub. We'll configure the application to pull directly from GitHub and redeploy whenever a change is made, and then we'll test the application works. So let's get started with building the application. I'm in VS Code and I'm in the directory of the Dice API folder that I've created. You can use any IDE to do this and follow the same process as long as you have the Python application able to run on your desktop and then you push it to GitHub. You'll be able to access it from there when we get to DigitalOcean. So we can get started by creating the init.py file. We'll create the main file next. As well as this, we're going to need two other files, which is a proc file and our gunicorn.config. So as well as this, there's a requirements.txt file which will generate once the Python file is being created, and that takes the libraries that are used in the Python application and allows the DigitalOcean application to know which ones to install when the application is pulled from GitHub. We'll start by importing FastAPI. So from FastAPI, import FastAPI. We'll import random for the dice and import unicorn. As you can see, I'm using GitHub Copilot, so it will prompt some of the text on the screen, but we'll go through and edit that as necessary. We'll start by creating the app instance of FastAPI, and then the home root. What we'll want to do is welcome to the API, and then we'll create our root for random, which will just randomly select a number to get started with the dice. We'll do 0 to 6 for a standard dice, and then we'll initialize the unicorn application. No need to worry about the host, but we will put the port equal to 8000, which is going to be the port for the application in DigitalOcean, and reload equal to true for the local tests. So that's the initial version of the main application complete. We will need to create our unicorn config file as well. So the port is bound to 8000, which defines the environment variable. The number of workers has been created to handle requests, so we can handle multiple requests at once. And then we create the worker class. Next we'll create the proc file. So the proc file defines how the web application should be hosted by the server. We've defined the web gunicorn web server gateway interface is being used, and the worker temp directory is where the temporary worker is located. The config file is this file for the web application, and the main application for FastAPI. Now that we've done that, we can save the files, make sure everything's ready to run. Now that we have the application complete, what we can do is create the requirements.txt file. To do this, I'll use pip freeze requirements.txt. That creates our requirements.txt file. However, it has included all of the libraries that are in the environment in use. Because I'm using the global environment, it's included everything that I have on my local. We can actually reduce this right down. And the last thing that we need to include is unicorn, which is currently at 20.1.0. I'll save that file. This should be everything that we need now to be able to push this to GitHub and correctly deploy the application to DigitalOcean. So to do this, we're going to publish to GitHub, and I'll make this a public repository. This repository will be available for anyone to clone, and I'll make branches in future for different versions of the application as it develops. Just make sure that if you do choose to clone the application at this point, that you're using the correct branch so that it looks the same, but it should be correct and run regardless, as it auto deploys from GitHub. Everything's now been successfully published to GitHub. So we'll head over to DigitalOcean.com and have a look at the services that they've got to offer. We're going to be using the app platform today, but there is other services that they offer which will come in useful in future for adding a front-end database to solutions like this API. The solution section covers all of the different use cases for different services that they offer, and the developer section is incredibly useful for the tutorials that they have as well on how to use these services. There is a partner section if you would like to talk to an expert on how to integrate these services into your applications, and pricing to find out roughly how much it's going to cost to host any of these services. To get started, we'll just go to sign up. So it's really easy to sign up with DigitalOcean. You can use Google, GitHub, or directly by email. And if you choose to register using the promo code in the description, as well as getting $200 worth of credits that they already offer as standard, you'll be helping support this channel if you continue to use their services. Because I've already got an account, I'll sign in. So what we'll want to do to get started is we'll need to go to the new project section. As you can see, I already have some projects here, but we'll create a new one for this application. So we'll call this the Dice API. And we can give it a quick description. And then you can choose to select a purpose. So I'm just testing DigitalOcean. So now if you wish to move a resource to this application or this project, if you already have an application open and you're moving it through to a different project, you can do so here. We're going to create the application directly in the project. So what we need to do now is we need to go to Create, App Platform. Make sure GitHub is selected. Select the Dice API. We'll choose which branch we're on. We're on the main branch this time. We can auto deploy, so every time that the branch changes in GitHub, it'll auto deploy the new version of the application. We can edit the resources for the application here. You can see there's various options. And this can be changed once the application's already set up. So as you need to scale the application up, you can easily go in and edit that. We want to use one container and make sure that the port is correct for the application. That's everything there. We can add additional resources if required, so a database, which we won't do today, but I will do a video on that just to show how we set up a database for the application. And we have no global environment variables currently, and no environment variables for the API directly. You can see the app has a specific name that's been set by DigitalOcean, and we can edit where that application is going to be. So we'll put that as Dice API. You can choose the region that the server runs on as well. and then an overview of the whole application before you continue to create the resource. So the build's now complete. It'll then go on to deployment. And you can see all 3 workers have been set up there, the port has been set up, and you can now see the application live. So if we go to the live app, we can see the application running. And if we search random, we get our dice roll. We could see before there's an issue with the actual dice where it starts at 0. So what I'll do is we'll go back to VS Code, make that change, and watch the auto deployment take place. We'll save this. Commit to the main branch and sync the changes. And if we go back to DigitalOcean, you can see it's automatically started to deploy the latest version. There we go. In just over a minute, I believe, that's the application redeployed with the latest version. And then we can go to random and no longer have the dice roll to 0. Now that the application's live, we can have a look at what else the platform has to offer. So the overview section shows the app health. You can see that it's currently available, the API is working, and you can click on the routes to go directly to the application. You can see the estimated cost of the application as it grows, and the recent activity. So the deployment when we initially went live, and then the redeployment for changing the API. The Insights tab shows more information on the compute that's being used. The Activities tab again shows the timeline of deployments. There's a runtime log which shows the errors and the access of the application. So we can see that all of the access to the random API worked. And if there's any errors, this is a good place to check and see why you may be getting errors or outputs from the console. There's a console directly to interface with the application. Depending on what you're doing, this may be more useful for calling application APIs directly or changing variables. And then the Settings tab, which shows all of the settings for the application and the component directly. So if you set the application up and need to change the source directory, or you need to change the port number, you can come in here and change these, and you can see it's pulled the run command directly from the gunicorn config.py that we set up earlier. And that's it. We've set up the FastAPI application and hosted it on DigitalOcean. We create the dice roll and API endpoint that can be accessed from anywhere in the world, and the application is configured for auto deployment, so any edits that we make in VS Code and push to GitHub will automatically deploy. Stay tuned for future videos where we'll add features like databases and front-end frameworks to this and other APIs. We can also explore developing embedded hardware that can log data to our applications and much more. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial. The DigitalOcean referral link is in the description, which will give you $200 in credits over 60 days, and it will also give me $25 in credits if you continue to use their service, helping to support this channel and these applications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.